Hello and welcome to another edition of PartnerTalk. My name is Michael Sequeira. I am the Sustainability Innovation Manager at AVEVA. 2 years ago, we were really delighted to launch AVEVA's Sustainability Impact Partner Badge program. And today we are really delighted to have a few of them with us here at AVEVA World Conference 2026 in Milan to recognize and celebrate some of their achievements. Today I am joined by Luke Stephenson from Enterprise Automation. Luke, great to see you. What are your initial thoughts on AVEVA World? And more importantly, I'd like to talk about the Sustainability Impact Badge, and you're a winner. Tell us about that program and what it means for your business.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So AVEVA World is an excellent annual event. We love attending, whether it's here in Europe or in the States. For us, it's an opportunity to break away from kind of the daily grind and project work we're doing and really think towards the future. You know, we really rely on partners like AVEVA to push the boundaries on what they're developing through R&D and where they see the market going and where they see technology going, and then we get to take pieces of that back. And in terms of sustainability, it's a real integral part to our business. It's actually written right into our company purpose statement. That we want to make an impact in the world that we're a part of. And when you think of sustainability, we do a lot of the same things that everybody can do in terms of our tracking our carbon footprint and all those types of things. But where as Enterprise Automation we feel uniquely able to make a bigger impact is by taking the technical skill sets that we have and applying that within industry, right? The impact of that can be 10x, 100x of what we might do as individuals, around us. So, with that in mind, we really focus on mission-critical industries that are in and of themselves sustainable, but also just focusing on how automation can reduce waste, increase, uptime, and again, all those things today they might have been called operational efficiency a decade or two ago. Now they're sustainable things. And so whenever we see a key partner like AVEVA bring out a program that recognizes partners or companies that are making progress in that area, like the Sustainability Badge and program that you guys launched, we're like all over it. We want to jump into that, and our team gets a lot out of it. They're excited to be recognized in that way. So yeah, as soon as we heard about it, we thought, we really want to jump on board.
Excellent. Well, today's chat is all about recognizing what you guys achieved and how you pulled together AVEVA's solutions and product suite to apply it in the use case where you won the badge in 2024. Could you tell us a little bit more about EA and also more about that project? What was it? What was the sustainability achievements that you had? Tell us more about what your success was around.
Yeah, absolutely. So EA is an endorsed systems integrator partner with AVEVA. We really focus on the full life cycle of support for customers. So we get involved a lot in consultancy and advisory services around technology adoption and roadmaps. So again, kind of going back to why we come to places like AVEVA World, we're trying to understand where the market is headed, where our partners are investing their R&D dollars, and then combine that with our capabilities to bring that to market and to bring that into our customer applications and bridge that gap. And so for us, we start there. Obviously, we design and implement modern control systems in industrial environments, and then we're really also still there after project lifecycle ends as support for our customers. They may have staff support in-house, but for the tough technical problems, they may want a group to lean on outside of that. So we provide 24/7 call-out support and things like that to backstop our customers. And so under that lens, thinking about what we've done here in this project for Wellhead, they, at one of their critical power generation sites, it's very grid connected. And so in California, there's a lot of renewable energy production, a lot of PV, solar PV production during the daytime. And so as everyone's familiar, it over-generates during the day. And so we have a surplus of clean PV energy during the day. And so now the grid is looking at ways to capture that excess and store that for use when the sun goes down, rather than lean on the fossil fuel production options that are already in place. So kind of extend the impact of that renewable energy source into a broader time scale. And so this particular project installed about 275 megawatt hours of battery storage capacity to, again, store that excess PV energy that was being generated within the California grid system. And then, yeah, make that available when the sun goes down. And so we used a lot of AVEVA tools to monitor the EMS system and to historize the data the client was already using for their traditional power plant system, SciTech or Plant SCADA and the Wonderware Historian. So they wanted to bring all of that information into a common view, environment, and also historize all of their data into a common system so that they could use that in conjunction with other data and work with their existing operations team to monitor and control that. So, so we were successful in the project's outcomes in terms of getting that up and online and getting them the data that they wanted to capture and the visibility that they were after. And in a project that really has an impact in our local market.
And what were some of the outcomes that the client experienced as a result of engaging with you and running the project?
Yeah, one of the reasons why we're often selected as a partner is because folks want certainty in the design and delivery outcomes around these technologies. We have multiple individuals on our staff certified in all of AVEVA's products. And so, it takes a lot of the guesswork out of the way that we apply those technologies, which reduces risk on the project and drives certainty in the timelines and the cost that the customer's putting in terms of capital. And so those promises were kept. So we were able to get the facility up and running in the timeline that they were hoping for. And again, all of their data was clean, tagged properly, and available within their existing systems. They also, across California, they have multiple sites. This is one of them. And they have a central monitoring location up in Northern California. And so now all of this data is brought back and replicated in that location as well. So they can leverage that kind of central monitoring capability even at these new assets and bring everything together.
Really good. Very cool. So we can't be at a conference like this without talking about artificial intelligence and the pace at which it's moving and changing and impacting all of our lives. And of course, the world of software as a service. So it would be useful to get your thoughts on AI in your own workflow, in your own plans, in your own solutions. What does it mean to you and your business, and how are you deploying it, employing it?
Yeah, it's certainly the topic of every conference these days, and it's very much ubiquitous and all around us. I really think, we've kept a very close eye on it. We have an innovation team at EA that has been working with AI solutions and software with AI baked in for a number of years now. And in kind of an exciting way, I think we're really right in the midst of a turning point. A lot of people have maybe taken baby steps into AI or started pilot projects that either have stalled or haven't maybe gotten them the outcomes that they had hoped for. And a lot of that, I think, was sort of because we weren't quite ready with a few of the aspects of the technology. With even in the last few months, the MCP open standard protocol being defined and coming out, you're seeing lots of software packages. Many AVEVA ones we're hearing here at AVEVA World are releasing MCP connectors to be able to use AI and connect those AI large language models into those products. And I think we've seen the predictive nature or the data analysis nature already working in some ways within products. What we're really excited about now is the ability for your everyday operator to conversationally, using an AI, chatbot or large language model, like an agentic AI, interact with their data in their system conversationally. More human nature, right? And so to be able to say, what's the health of my current system, or why did the plant shut down an hour ago? What were the root causes of that? And what's the status of this? Or can you build me a report that shows total flows over a certain period of time? You could just ask those questions. You don't have to be an expert, a data analyst or an expert in report building to get to some of those insights much more quickly.
Yeah.
And so I think those things becoming available, and right now the technology kind of reaching a point where we're there, I think is going to have a huge impact on the workforce, because we really struggle. We get the data into people's hands, but then how do you use it? Not everyone is really comfortable with processing and analyzing data. And so this really lowers the barrier to entry for that. Everybody can ask questions, right?
Absolutely.
Everybody can interact that way. So anyways, that's what we're really excited about.
I fully agree. That's a very well articulated summary of some of the biggest impacts. So we're almost at time. This is my first AVEVA World conference. I've been staggered by the scale. I've really enjoyed their interaction, the discussion, the networking. But I wondered, what's your experience been, and what would you, one word you would use to summarize AVEVA World conference?
Yeah, expanding. We've been to multiple AVEVA Worlds, and it's really been awesome to see, and this one is no exception. AVEVA is really taking a holistic approach to digital technology in the industrial space. Everything from the front-end engineering and design tools that they've always had, to the operation, maintenance, control and maintenance packages, into Connect and the digital platforms. And so, every time they acquire, whether it was Pi a number of years ago, or bringing in the HMI products from Schneider Electric, prior to that, or the Twin Thread and Snowflake type announcements that they have, every time they expand sort of their reach and improve the technologies they're developing, that user community also comes to this event. And so I think that's why we're seeing this is the most attended user, AVEVA World event ever is what they've shared. But I think that's a result of, now all the Pi users are here. Now we have all of the, Databricks, Snowflake users who are maybe used to hearing about that. So it increases the size of the community.
Yeah.
So I think expanding, really expanding the reach for what we can all do and collaborate on together is what I would say is coming top of mind.
Well, very good. Thank you for your time. Really glad to have you here. Really proud of what you guys achieved.
Yeah,
thank you for your time again.
Yeah, appreciate it.